I have loved my ultimate rainwater system. It feeds my garden, it feeds my cows, but it doesn't feed my small livestock like my chickens, my rabbits, which I have here, or even some of my goats. And I want to encourage you through this to use this rainwater system to water your small livestock, like your rabbits, which are in my case, or your goats, or your chickens, or whatever else you have, even your dogs. This could work great for you. And what we're using is this 55-gallon water drum. You can find these online anywhere. We bought these brand new. Terrible idea. They were way too expensive brand new, and we bought 4 of them. It's when we were started. Don't do that. Find them used if you can, but find them responsibly used so that you know what was inside of them, because there's a lot of stuff that somebody could have put in here that you don't want to put for water consumption for your animals or for yourself. Now we're basing everything we have here around this 55-gallon drum, and we've already cut the hole at the bottom of this drum. And that's one of the hardest parts of this whole thing, is trying to get a spout at the very bottom without cutting the top so that everything can still be enclosed, where we use this special key to unlock everything. Because I don't want to cut this. And that's our biggest challenge with this whole process. Now, there are some main reasons why I would love to keep these tops in place without cutting the whole barrel top. And that's because for 2 reasons. One, we want to limit the algae growth. So this limits the amount of light that can get inside of here. So having these small holes just here, again, limits the light, but it also limits the amount of fly, or it's really the mosquito larva that has an issue of getting inside of here. So if we could just cap this off and keep everything down to these little tiny holes, hugely beneficial. Now, one of the other awesome things about keeping everything focused around just these little holes is these little caps that go on the top of it, which screw in, have threads so that you can put a valve here. And this would be awesome if you kept the entire barrel sideways, because you could do it sideways. However, I don't think it's the safest with all of our animals and kids to keep these sideways. I want it to be upright. That's why we have to cut a hole in the bottom. But if you were going to do sideways, you'd actually have an in spout over here, and then you'd have your valve out on this side. And that's all based around if it's sideways. That's something you can do, and it would actually be much easier, especially because there's already the threads and this little, it just pops out. If I just put a screwdriver in there, it would pop out. I don't want to do that for this. I want it to be sealed. That's what you can do. Welcome to one of my many wood piles that need to be cleaned up. We're over here. I'm just going to get one of these logs. I'm going to put the barrel on top of here. That way it can be lifted up and I won't have to bend over. Let's take this. I can move it into there. All these wood piles are actually here for inoculating with mushrooms, which I'll show you in a future video, and I'm really excited to show you how that all works. But let's go back to the rainwater. And here we are. Now the next thing we have to do is put the valve into this hole, which is going to be a challenge. Now this is the piece that's going to go into the actual barrel. And the way it works, we're going to remove this part. This is the valve that opens and closes. This is where the water will come out. And then we're going to take this ring part off. And this is what we're going to work on putting into this barrel like this. Now this will go in on this side, and we'll have to thread it in from the back side. But my hand, come up here, my hand will never fit through that hole and down into here. That's going to be the issue. I've actually been avoiding this for a long time, specifically because of this, but I think we might have an idea on how to get it to work. Come up here. My hand will never fit through that hole and down into here. That's going to be the issue. I've actually been avoiding this for a long time, specifically because of this, but I think we might have an idea on how to get it to work. Unfortunately, though, I pre-cut this hole maybe about 2 years ago before we did this whole thing, and I was really hoping I would not have to cut this again, because cutting a hole around an already drilled hole is going to be a little bit more challenging with this flimsy material. So instead of kind of drilling out, I think I'm just going to use something like this or a knife just to kind of shave away the edges just enough so that I can fit this into there. Because I'm actually hoping that once I thread this in, I won't have to worry too much about the ring on the outside, on the inside, which will make tight. But if I could make it pressure fit, even just by threading this in, I mean, that could be pretty nice. I'm just trying to shave away ever so carefully just these edges so I could just barely slip it in. Well, that worked way better than I was expecting. All I did was I just slowly shaved it, and I don't think I ruined the threads on the inside, but it's just enough to where I was able to smack that in. And I think I don't even need to put the ring on the inside. Seriously, that's how tight that is. I don't think that would leak water at all. We're going to go through this anyway because most of you are going to probably try to put that ring on the inside, and seriously, that's the big trouble, and we're going to do that right now. Now, hopefully you're not watching this while you're trying it, because I want to tell you that you should know beforehand where I put this hole. I don't think is the best spot. What I should have done is I should have lined it up with one of these holes, because it would have been way easier for me to put this whole thing together. So this hole right here, this is where I should have put it. So straight down here, because then it would have been way easier for me to get a tool down there, line it up, and then screw it in. But I didn't do that. Now my angle has to go from here all the way over to here and to this. Seriously, this was a mistake putting the hole here. But let's stop here for a second. If you could do this, if you can get this in as tight as I got it, I think that this is the way to go. Don't worry about putting the ring on the other side. This should be your goal. But let's put the ring in anyway. Now, my original plan was to use this, lock it in, and then somehow hold it as I put it in here. But now I have another issue, because there's no way that's holding in there. Too big. Maybe, it's gonna be really annoying, but maybe we can lower this. Oh, we can kind of like maneuver it. Oh, don't drop it, don't drop it. Oh gosh, it's so close. And I don't want to ruin the thread. That's the thing. Okay, let's try to brainstorm. Now I think I originally was thinking maybe this can go in here somehow, but it doesn't really fit. So then I thought, well, maybe if I could attach here and then somewhere, but then look, I figured out if we put this in just right, it can fit in like this. And I have a hole right here big enough so that I think I could thread it through that if I'm careful. So now we've got our handy dandy duct tape and our rod. Now that we're onto this, we're gonna take our rod, and this, if you have anything that will fit, some sort of wrench, then you could do this same thing, but unfortunately my wrenches don't fit. So I'm using a clever workaround. What we're gonna do is take the rod, and then I'm gonna tape this to it. I've really got to make sure I'm taping this in. Luckily with this, it's kind of grooved and kind of holds it into place. Now, I get that you might be using something different. And let's say you were going to use a wrench. My idea for the wrench is to take some of that duct tape, put it onto your wrench, and hold it here so that if anything does happen, it won't fall off of the wrench as it goes inside. Look at that, see? I think that's pretty solid. And then you just make sure when you do go in, you're good. But that won't work for me. The idea for me is I'm going to try to get this here, right where that hole lines up. And we're going to lightly hold this on. And I want it more so to be on this blue thing than on the white, because I want to be able to take it out and not leave the duct tape in behind. So hopefully that right there is good enough. All right, now hopefully that gives us enough room. Aha, there it is. Okay, now as we go in, hopefully this is so hard to see. You could see way better than I can because you're basically in the hole with me, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. What I wish I would have done was, instead of putting the hole way over here, I wish I would have put the hole here. Look how much easier that would have been, just right in front of it. But now I'm left in this uncomfortable, difficult position of trying to angle it sideways way over here. All right, so we're back out. Because I put it in sideways, it won't go like this because the pipe is trying to hit the rod too like crooked. So we have to adjust for that, and I gotta like make this free floating like this, so it kind of goes parallel with the actual threads that I have down there. Let's hope that angle works. And what I am gonna do is get this wrench ready so that when I do get it in, I could feel like I'll start to twist it or have help twisting this while I'm holding it on the inside. Yeah, this is what it looks like from my end, not from your end. It's much harder than what you were seeing before. There, it's doing it. All right, there's no way I could do this part by myself. So I have brought in the specialist, the one who could do all. My wife. Okay, it's threaded, but we can't hold it tight yet. She's gonna continue to spin it while as much as I try, I'm gonna take this out and just kind of like put pressure on the top side of that ring because there's no wrench in there, so I can't grab it like this. So I'm gonna put pressure on the top side of the ring to help hold it in place while she threads it in. Can you feel it getting tighter? I think you're there. Yeah, I think you went all the way in.
More?
No, no, you're good. And the hardest part is done. Duct tape is out and it looks good. It looks really good. Now that we have got that thing hooked up, sorry, it was out of frame. Now it's in frame. So now that we've got that thing hooked up, all we have to do with this is pretty nice because I guess this is kind of universal, and this cap is a small end because we can hook up the nipples for the rabbits with this little tiny end. But again, you don't have to go for this. You could go for many other different styles, and a lot of them are based around just what we did here already. But what we have for the rabbits is this little tiny bit. Well, now we have got this hooked up and the valve is on. Let's dump some water in here real quick and see if it works. All right, that's just above the seal. Let's go check and see if it's leaking. Now we've got it leaned a little bit. The water level is about right here if I lean it over. I don't see any leaks. And then turn this on. That's what we're looking for. Now, as we move on to this next part, we're going to continue in setting up for this automatic watering system for these rabbits. But not everything's going to be finished on this project because we still have to get an automatic pressurizer for this, because we're not going to lift it up too high, so it's not going to be gravity fed. There's just a few different reasons. Now, these automatic water feeders for the rabbits, or whatever else you're going to use these for, have this spring-loaded rabbit, this spring-loaded nipple system to where they can hit this and drink out of it. So the way that we're going to get this set up, and again, this is all temporary. We have a few more things to build here. For now, we're just setting this up here. That little hook hooks on this edge like this. Then we hook up, actually it's easier this other way. I pre-did this before filming. Well, now we're at the stage where we can get water inside of the barrel and then get everything hooked up so that the rainwater can go throughout these systems. But I don't want to fill it up with just this little bucket again. We're going to put water running from a different area into that barrel. For that, we actually need the help of my tractor because we need to move in some other logs over here so we can stack them up high. Now, can I? No, I can't move it. So I think I need to push it this way a little bit because it's not quite even and I might be able to dig back out with the tractor. You'll see when I'm doing it. Not bad. And actually what I could do for safety for now until I get this whole thing finally set up is I'll just put a ratchet strap around here. Just for whatever reason, this really heavy thing won't tip over or fall over for whatever. But it's going to be really sturdy and solid on there, but we'll have the extra support of a ratchet strap. All right, it took like 8 hoses to get here. But let's put that in there. We'll fill this up. And until we get a water collection system, I don't know how much those rabbits are going to drink when it comes to 55 gallons, but I might not have to do it too often. Sucks to get this many hoses here, but we'll figure out a way to get this thing fully rainwater hooked up. Technically, it's coming from the rainwater system that I have. Again, an entire video about my ultimate rainwater system. That's where this water's coming from, but I still have to get hoses at this point to bring it over here. The goal is not to get the hoses, but to be fully sustained and water coming in here without that other hookup, its own system, but that's for a future video. Right now, I want this hooked up to give them water right now. Now, while this is filling up, we can come over here and get the rest finished, which is honestly going to be the easiest part of this whole thing. So this is what makes this next part so easy. We just take this tube, pretty much sit it right in that head piece. Hopefully this works well. All right, just fits right in there. Then we essentially have this tube that will run to here. Let's start it right there. So we're gonna have to do this in a few different cuts. And then it's got these T's, and that's pretty much all we have to do. So we'll get the T hooked up. Well, that's perfect timing because that just finished filling. Let me go shut it off so we don't waste any more rainwater, and we'll come back, show you the final bit, and see if the rabbits are gonna drink out of it. All right, it's not turned on yet. We now have everything hooked up. The barrel is filled. The tube is running. I don't know if this is too tall yet. We will double check. And then they each have their own. Now, let's turn this on. Okay, I could feel water in the tubes. And water just came out of there. I'm just releasing the air. There we are. And then almost immediately, let's see. Right here, dude. Okay, we are now inside the cages. If you've seen these inside of there, these are brand new rabbits. And I left their boxes inside of here to give them a shelter until I could finish. And they just ripped it up. But back to the water situation. Let's see. And that is it. We have finished it. Mostly. We'll do some upgrades in the future, but for now, this is a total rainwater system set up for the rabbits, and I don't have to come down here again. And like I said in the beginning, this type of contraption could be used for any type of animal you have, for your chickens, for anything else. And I think it's not too hard to do. The only thing that sucks is putting that the nut on the inside, and hopefully I was able to give you a little bit of guidance and tips if you haven't seen putting a rod down there before. So definitely check out that ultimate rainwater collection video. I've talked about it like 4 times in this video. So if you're curious at all and you like this rainwater system, I think you'll like that one. Head over at the end. I'll see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you again. See you later.